Welcome everyone to another episode of the Miami Real Estate Show. Before we get started with this amazing agent, Abel Gilbert, we have today, always, this episode is brought to you by the Real Estate Black Box. It is the training, lead generation, lead conversion training, and the system with the website, content, email marketing, automation, and segmentation every real estate agent needs in order to generate more leads, convert more leads, and automate the process. If you want more information in the recording, you can click down below and you will see all the information pertaining the real estate black box, specifically designed for the agents in 2020. Now, formally, let's welcome Mr. Abel Gilbert to the Miami Real Estate Show. Abel, nice to see you, man.
Thank you, Orlando. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Man, I've seen you grown your business, from not from the beginning, but I remember when you first came to my office, right? You were working for another company. You didn't have your own company yet, but you were always so eager to learn. And you quickly earned the respect of senior agents in the industry, right? Yeah. So I want to congratulate you for that. And now I want you to tell the audience where you are today in terms of productivity, and then we're gonna go back and explain exactly the path you took to get to where you are today. So tell me how was 2019, and then we'll talk about 2020. Well, how was 2019 for you, for your team and your production?
So the explanation is a little bit complicated. It's not that simple, because the model that I chose to take in this business was a model in which, because, as you know, I became a broker, I opened up my brokerage. But at the same time, the reason why I opened my brokerage was because I've always been very focused on my own business, on generating my own deals. And when I opened my brokerage, I didn't really open it with the idea of recruiting agents. I just did it because I wanted to have, the flexibility, the freedom to do things the way that I wanted to do them. So then as I opened the brokerage and as I started, as I continued producing what I was producing, I started getting noticed by other top producing agents that, saw what I was doing and wanted to pretty much be together, so that we can grow together. And it just became like osmosis, where one agent came, then another, and then, I decided at first, when I first opened the brokerage, I had another name. When other agents started joining me, I said, you know what, we need to rebrand. So we rebranded to One Path Realty. So One Path Realty started in 2019. Technically,
with how many agents you had in 2019?
So 2019, beginning of 2019, we were about 6 agents.
Okay, and right now, how many agents you have? Because you're very selective. You're not about volume. You're about quality. So how many agents do you have right now?
As of today, we have 55 agents.
Oh, wow. Okay, a lot.
Yeah, 55 agents, which is still not a lot, because I consciously decided I don't want quantity, I want quality. While knowing that eventually I will focus on quantity, but while still maintaining the quality. So I feel like, I felt like before I, create a bigger monster, I need to make sure that all of my processes, all of my, standard operating procedures, everything is clear. Everything is, where there's no confusion. There's no, oh, you didn't tell me that was your expectation of me or anything like that. So to answer your question, 2019, we helped 321 families.
Okay.
We did over $105 million worth of volume in all those deals. The way that our company is structured, so One Path Realty, the way that we all see it is as one team. So we are all one team. But within One Path Realty, what we've done is we have subdivided it in different teams. So where I feel my one of my abilities is identifying, talent and knowing when there's an agent that has the potential of going from being a one-man show, which is the reality of most agents, to basically being the leader of their own group. It's a process. It's not an overnight, success, because once you decide to be a team leader, it's not just about your own production anymore. It's really about now you need to learn how to manage people.
Now, now let's go into that. First, let's start in recruiting, right? So when you're working to develop your team, and for people that are thinking about developing their team, the number one thing is to recruit people, right? Number two, you need to train those people, right, to make them productive, right? So those three things are critical for a broker or a person that wants to develop a team, right? Number one, you need to make sure you recruit them. Number two, you want to make sure you train them. And number three, you want to make sure that you make them productive, all right? So what are you doing right now in order to recruit those people? What's your number one tool, source of recruiting? Is it referrals from those same agents? Are you doing some type of advertisement? Do you have a recruiting in your team? What is it that you're doing right now in your particular case?
So thanks for the question, Orlando, and I'll explain you exactly what we're doing and how we got into 55 agents. Mm-hmm. So every single agent we have hasn't been recruited. Every single agent we have has come either from word of mouth, mm-hmm, or because they've seen us, because another thing we do is we make sure that we stay visible, because mm-hmm, that's part of how our industry runs. You got to make sure that you are a visible agent, not a secret agent, how we came up with that term years ago. So the way that we recruit, the way that we attract agents, it's simply by our reputation, our credibility. I do have the funnels. I mean, I do have everything in place, so that when you start recruiting, I already know exactly where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. And, because like I said, we have a different model. We are a brokerage, but we're also a team. So because of that, we have different funnels. We have funnels for the brokerage, funnels for the team, because we're looking for different type of people.
All right. So now that you're recruiting, right? Or now that you have the opportunity to sit down with them, what is it that you offer different from over 3,200 other brokers around the city? What is it exactly that you do that allow you to grow from 6 agents to 55, which for some people that not be a lot, believe me, in less than a year, that's a lot of agents, especially if you don't have a recruiter in-house. So what is it exactly that you offer that is different? And I know what it is. I want them to know, right?
Yeah, of course. So we have a different value proposition, mm-hmm, which is for both independent agents and mm-hmm, for team agents. So basically for team agents, our value proposition is we're going to give you all of the platforms that we use. I believe that if you want to be able to go from a one-man show to an operation, you need to be able to have platforms. You need to be able to be organized. You need to be able to, basically, especially now with today's circumstances, you need to be able to do everything digitally. So for the team agent, they get every single platform for free. They don't have to do anything extra. Some of these CRMs and all these other platforms are going to cost you anywhere between $80 a month up to hundreds of dollars a month. Yeah. So to the team agent, we provide everything for free. We also provide. Mm-hmm,
so, we also provide. Go ahead. You provide what?
Yeah, we also make part of our value proposition. The training, I in my opinion, training is not just about, we're going to meet with a title company, with a lender. Training is about, all of the different scenarios mm-hmm, that you learn on a daily basis. Right. So what I do with my team is we actually have daily power meetings and part of our agenda. So
we're talking very specific, you have a daily power meeting. It's not a weekly sales meeting or a weekly team meeting. It's a day. What is it? Okay, let's stop right there, and then we go into the marketing platforms, because I know, guys, Abel is one of the top Zillow agents in the nation. All right. As a matter of fact, Zillow has taken Abel even to Seattle to talk about how he uses Zillow. So stay tuned, because in a few minutes we're going to talk about that specific platform. By the way, I don't know anybody in Zillow. Nobody's paying me to say this. I don't know a single person in Zillow. What I know is that you're having success. What I know is that I've seen you speak in front of Zillow headquarters about your success in that. So hang up. For those of you who do not believe in Zillow, or for those of you who want to do Zillow, this is the guy to listen to. All right. So let's go back to what you just said, because I'm interested in people learning what you do different, which is, daily power meetings. Let's talk about that. How long they are, what you talk about. Do you talk about numbers? Do you have a matrix? What is it?
So we started the daily power meetings as soon as everything closed down in Miami, because of COVID. before COVID, we were doing weekly, like a weekly meeting on Mondays to set up the expectations for the week. As soon as COVID started, I said to myself, it was kind of like it felt very familiar, because as you know, I've been in this business since before the financial crisis. So when COVID started, I was like I've been through this before, and I felt like, you know what, I've prepared for this. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I prepare everyone in my team to be ready, because we're all coming into a very uncertain time, unprecedented. This is nothing to do with the financial crisis, but I felt like, one of the things that's going to get us through this is being there for each other. So I started my daily power meetings, and
how long are they?
Well, it was supposed to be half an hour a day, but they turned out to be like an hour.
Okay, what do you discuss in those meetings?
Sorry?
What do you discuss in those meetings?
Okay, so basically my agenda is I start with announcements. Like let's say, and I have any feedback or anything in regards to our platforms. Like, guys, you need to make sure that you do this, from now on, because the thing about platforms and the thing about our industry is that it's always evolving. That's why I feel it's so important for me as a broker to continue being an agent or really a leader in a group, in a team, because that's the only way that I'm going to stay relevant to understanding how we need to modify and adjust to the times. So the way that our meetings work is, we go through announcements, then we celebrate, because every single day because we focus on two things right now. During COVID, we're focusing on two things.
Okay.
How many calls we're making and how many posts or stories we're doing on social media.
Okay.
Because what I figured is that we need to work on two things. We need to work on our today business and our tomorrow business. Our today business depends on the amount of people that we can communicate with. So the chronological order is calls, conversations, appointments, pending sales, close sales, and referrals.
That's it.
So we can't control how many pending units we have, but we can control is how many calls we're going to make.
And the number of conversations to a certain degree, right?
Correct. Yeah. Because, the conversation is a result of the amount of calls that you're going to make. Right. So, the more calls that you make, the higher the probability will be that you have more conversations, and the conversation is going to lead to an appointment, and the appointment could lead to a pending sale.
Okay.
So we're focusing. So going back to the daily meetings.
KPIs, guys. At the end of the day, it's KPIs. Your matrix. What are your matrix for the business? It doesn't matter if you're a broker, if you're a real estate agent, if you're new, experienced, or a top producer. It's about three things, right? And we talk about that in coaching all the time. And you know it, Abel. You've worked with us for a long time. Number one, it's specialized knowledge. Number two, it's what? It's marketing. And number three is what Abel's talking about, sales conversations. And marketing, it's what's going to get you there, right? Those three things. Right. The matrix. Okay. Anything else? So you talk about the wins for the day. You talk about your KPIs. Anything else specific?
Yeah. As far as KPIs, what I focus on, like I said, is the amount of calls, conversations, appointments, pending sales, close sales. Because my goal is to figure out where is there a leak. Like where are we dropping the ball? Like if we're having, if we make 100 calls and then we only have 10 conversations, there's something going on there. But if we're making 100 calls and we're having, let's say, 50 conversations, we're good. Now, if we're having 50 conversations, but 2 appointments, then the leak is right there. So the reason why it's important for me to track all that is to figure out, where are we dropping the ball? And that we can actually do something about it. If it's worth doing, it's worth tracking.
Hey, so understand what Abel just said, guys. So you master each step of the sales process, right? Calls, easy to make. Anybody can make a call. But if you are not going from the call to the presentation, then there is a leak on your skills to convey the value to that prospect on the phone. So you need to work on your communication skills on the phone. However, if you get to the presentation and you are not getting the listing, then the leak is on the presentation. You got to improve your presentation, or perhaps you're handling objections so you can close. Understand those 3 basic steps, and do you need to master them? It's not about knowing them. It's not about some information. It's about practicing them all the time. Abel is doing that in a daily basis. Very, very good. Anything else that you do on a daily? So You talk about the
Yeah.
web, you talk about your KPIs.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of things daily.
Okay.
I think the quality of our lives depends on on your habits.
Right.
So that is one of our habits where we start our day. Now we're integrating role playing calls as well.
Very
So
good. Very important.
twice a month. But as far as the daily power meeting, what we also do is we talk about challenges.
Right.
Like what happened, because we're meeting every day, so we're going through different scenarios every single day. So what was your challenge? And because like in as far as the team model, most of our team agents are agents that have been in the business for less than a year, sometimes 1 month, 2 months. They're going through experiences that they I mean, obviously they reach out to me, and so by the time they get to the meeting they already resolved it, but they share their experience,
Right.
so that the other agents can listen and be like, yeah, you know what, that's happened to me, or no, it's never happened, but now I know what to do.
Now,
So
you mentioned something very important here, Abel, which is role playing. There is a saying that goes like, you can learn to ride a bike in a seminar.
yeah,
Right? So what Abel just described, the role playing is key, because you can be getting all the information, all the theory in a daily basis, which is key. By the way, all the top agents, and I mentioned Riley, who's here today, one of the top agents around the nation. Hopefully he's still here today. Say hello, and he was on time. The culture he has as a team. You work with Anthony Asquith, one of the top agents here in Miami. The culture he has in his team and the culture you've developed is what you see. The top agents have a pattern, right? It's just having a very strong, tight culture in their teams with their agents. So if you truly want to develop that, if you want to retain, just to give you an idea, guys, the average turnaround, the average drop on a brokerage firm is about 33% per year. So the number of agents, if you have 10 agents in your firm, 3 are going to leave every single year. If you have 100, 33, right? So you want to reduce that. Nationwide, that's about the rate, 33% drop out. So in order to retain those people, because you don't do anything training them if they're going to leave, in order to retain them, one of the key things that Abel is doing right now is those daily power meetings. Amazing. Very, very good, Abel. Very, very good.
I'll add something to that, Orlando. I think that's a great point that you just talked about. I feel that for those who choose to be a broker or that choose to be a team leader, first of all, if you haven't done it yet, it's important that you realize that if you choose to go in that direction, it's almost like choosing to be a parent, because that's really the role that you need to take on in order to help agents reach the goals that they want to reach. And, so what does that mean? That means that your children have to eat first. That means that everything you do has to be in order to help them elevate, to another level. So it's a big commitment, like it's important that if you choose, that's why I personally made the conscious decision last year to get out of production. I decided I'm not helping buyers anymore because I can't. I don't have it. I don't have the brain power by the end of the day. The clarity to be able to help all these people, all of these agents, and at the same time be focusing on producing. So I for one believe that brokers should remain in production. In some way, like the way that I stay in production is as a team leader. I'm not showing homes, but I'm helping all of the agents in my team accomplish our goal, because what got me into real estate and what kept me in real estate was the passion of being able to help families, being able to help families own their dream home.
Right.
But then when I realized that in order for me to stay sane, I could only do like 50, 60 deals a year. I said to myself, well, you know what? Instead of doing 50 or 60, what if I instead focus on all of these agents, and instead of 50 or 60, do 300, do 500. Right. We helped 321 families last year.
Right.
This year, our goal is 500.
Right.
So for anyone who's thinking about becoming a team leader or a broker, make sure you understand that it's a commitment, just like being a father or a mother.
Now, I'm going to go into something very unique you bring to the table, because not only you use Zillow, You've been using it for a long, long time, and you've been very successful at it. All right. And I watched your talk at Zillow headquarters in Seattle. So congratulations on that. And you have your app, very cool, and very, very techy, and very where is it? Very northwest, and very Palo Alto, and
yeah. Before going, I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna wear, like I'm not gonna look Miami. Basically, I'm gonna look Seattle. So I was wearing a cap. They were like, oh, it was really fun.
All right. So a lot of agents are using Zillow or any other, Open Door. Redfin is a different similar platform. Realtors.com, and most agents are not having success because I always say it's not about the tool; it's about your ability to use the tool. All right. It's not about postcards. All right. It's not about email marketing. It's not about social media. It's your ability to use those tools. Everything works if you know how to use it. But if you don't, nothing is going to work. So what are you doing right now to make Zillow work to the degree you've done it?
That's a great question. And you're totally right. When it comes to, in my opinion, everything in real estate is about systems. It's about creating a process. So what we've done with online leads, not just Zillow, but we have partnerships with multiple online lead sources. But the most important thing about online leads is how to take them from the first connection to an appointment. Like that's basically where our focus is on on the first conversation.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, good. Okay.
So when Zillow works in different ways. Zillow, they either connect you, they call it a connection, a live connection, or you also receive nurture leads. So if you receive a live connection, whether it is from Zillow, HomeLight, or any of these other online lead sources, our goal is to get in front of them, is to set up an appointment. So what we focus on in the first conversation is setting an appointment, finding out about the location, like why do they want that location, and finding out about their motivation. That's it.
Tell me how you differentiate yourself from other agents that are getting pretty much or talking to the same leads. How do you get to set up that appointment? What value do you bring to the table? Something that we teach in coaching, and you know that you've worked with us for a long time, is that we want to go from the agent that is from the message that is centric to the agent to that client centric approach. So it's all about delivering value, right? There's a saying: if you want $1 billion, help 1 billion people, right? So what value do you bring to the table? Do you talk about yourself, or do you talk about how you can help that potential buyer or seller? What goes into that call to get that lead?
So, the main value we offer the person inquiring about a property or wanting to see the home, the main value that we offer is that we show them the home when they want to see it.
Okay.
And we're persistent and we follow up. Like one of the keys of converting, let's call it converting, an inquiry from a buyer to an appointment is not every single time they're going to be ready to set up an appointment on that first call. Many times you have to keep calling and calling and calling. So we have a very clear process of what we need to do on a daily basis. So, if the person inquired about 123 Banana Street and they want to see the property, like I said, we focus on setting up the appointment, knowing more about their location and the motivation. Then we go ahead and set up the appointment, and then we get back to them as soon as possible. We set up the appointment. If we are not able to set up the appointment, then we try to find them other properties. But it's a matter of, everybody wants immediate gratification. And that's what we're looking for. Like if we cannot, let's say the listing agent didn't answer or whatever the case is, we call back with a solution.
Okay.
With, look, this property is not available right now. I'm going to be able to show you that in the next couple of days. But in the meantime, I found you these other 2 properties that I can show you today. And so what you're doing is you're basically providing them with the value that they want. They don't want to hear about you. Like they don't want to know who you are. They just want a solution. They want a solution to their problem, which is I need to move.
So
I need to take a house.
Very important in the process. And when we're working with agents, this is key, guys. Understand that people need to constantly hear from you before they buy from you. Why do I say this? Because Abel just said it. Usually the breakdown happens on the follow-up. It's not in getting the lead. If you pay Zillow, if you pay Open Door, if you put Redfin, postcards, magazines, Facebook, you're going to get the leads. The problem is the breakdown happens on the follow-up. And as Abel said, consistent, keep calling. And here's the key to selling, guys. The key to selling is just painting a better future. This is where you are today. This is a better future, and I can help you with that. I have 2 properties today that you must see. These are as good or maybe even better than what you're looking for. They might go, they're priced right, they're remodeled. These are the specific specifications that you're looking for. We need to see it today because that's an opportunity in the market. And once you see that person in person, then it's a much easier. What we want is to build a relationship, guys. Sales doesn't happen. Selling is a process. It's not an event. So that's why you need to get that person face to face with you so you can strengthen that relationship. So you need to paint an opportunity and a better future. I don't have that property available right now, but I have these 2 that might be as good or even better. They are opportunities. We need to see them right away because they're going to get out of the market really soon. You need to create that sense of urgency. About anything else you're doing in terms of specifically Zillow, because you have a lot of experience with Zillow. So
yeah. So another thing to say about this, Orlando, is that there's data that shows that less than 30%. So less than 30% of the properties that people inquire about for the first time, they actually buy. So people usually buy. 70% of people buy not the first house that they inquired about. They buy the 5th or the 6th home that you show them.
The 8th is usually what they end up buying. That high. So that's why.
Yeah, in our case.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, in our case, our data show, like with our numbers, we are like at 5.5.
Good. So again, it's creating, and I see Michael here saying urgency and value as well. It's key, guys. It's key. And look at when you see, TV and they're selling a program. I love those programs on TV selling you something, and they put the timer, right? And they put all the units that are left. It's creating that urgency. You need to create that urgency, not only for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the buyer or seller as well. You need to present them with an opportunity. Forget about yourself. You need to get that person in front of you immediately. Abel, you had a question?
And that's why it's so important that on the first conversation, you focus on the motivation.
Right.
You need to understand why. Because the reality is that moving sucks.
Right.
Like, I don't know about you, but I don't like moving. So if you're moving, it's because there's some live event that is happening that is making you, make this move. So in my opinion, if you are able to really dig in deep into the motivation, that's when you have a higher probability of converting that inquiry. That's
so a quick joke, parenthesis, real quick. In my country, I'm from Venezuela, and in my country, when we want to insult somebody, we say, "I hope you move," right? So everybody wants to move, right? So here's the point. Look at what Abel just said. Please write this down. It's very difficult for real estate agents to understand that. And I see experienced agents making that mistake all the time. They think they're doing it right, but they're not listening to their motivation. Here, please write this down. The 5 key pre-qualifying questions, especially for buyers, right? No, there are 5. Number 1, what is it exactly that you want? Number 2, where do you want it? Number 3, Abel, what is the main question you said?
Why?
Why? There you go.
For example, if they tell you, "Oh, I need a property, a 1-story house."
Why? Right?
I need a bigger yard. Why? Oh, because my kids. Oh, really? How many kids do you have?
Exactly. But why your kids need a 1-story house? So because they're little, I don't want to use the stairs. You gotta go 5 to 7 levels deep on the why. The 4th question is the when. And the 5th, which most agents are afraid to ask, is the how much. We need to ask those questions on the phone. It's like pre-qualifying is so key. It's like when you go to the doctor, they do the same thing, right? They measure your temperature, your weight, your heart, right? All the same. You need to pre-qualify. How would you feel if you go to the doctor, Abel, and you say, "Okay, Abel, I'm the doctor. Hey, take this pill." You're not going to ask me anything? No, take this pill. The more you ask questions, the more you save time, and the more you show that person that you are that professional. So again, the 5 key questions: what do you want, where, why, 5 to 7.
So important as an agent, whether you are an independent agent or if you are in a team. That's why it's so important to surround yourself by the right people, because you need to be ready. Like, you need to be the best that you can be when you get that call, when you get that lead. So if you haven't practiced, if you haven't role played, if you're not prepared with a script, the goal of a script is not to sound like a robot, is to basically have a point of reference,
right?
Because while you're having a conversation, a conversation doesn't go in a straight line. A conversation goes like this. But if you have a script, when it goes like this, you can go back to the script and know what it is that you need to find out. So you go back to the motivation. And the motivation is what's going to give you the highest probability of setting up that appointment. Right. And then once you meet them in person, then it's like, they're going to be like, I don't know what it is about this guy, right? But like, I know him.
So my marketing coach, you can write this down. This is one of the top marketers around the country. His name is Perry Marshall. He wrote the Bible to Google Ads. Amazing. He wrote, I recommended the book to you, 80-20 principle, 80-20 rule of sales and marketing. Highly recommend, guys. Very technical book, but I highly recommend it, by Perry Marshall, the 80-20 rules of sales and marketing. Highly, highly recommended. And he says, it is not a qualifying process. It is a disqualifying process. You want to disqualify as many people as possible so you don't waste your time. And for the people that you're helping, you're truly helping them. Look at Abel. The average agent shows about 8 properties before they make a decision. Abel is down to 5.5. The reason, Abel, very simple. You're pre-qualifying those people. That's simple. All right. So go ahead.
The other thing to keep in mind, which is something I learned with you, Orlando, many years ago, is the 90-10 rule, which is that 10% of people are ready to take action between now and up to 90 days. And 90% of people are going to take action between 90 days up to 2 years. So the reality is that, probably 30% of our sales come from like right now business. The difference comes from the nurture that we've kept, the follow-ups, so that's why it's important to be organized, to have systems, because if you're just like all over the place and you don't have, your organized stages, then you don't know where that lead is. So you become overwhelmed, and then you're like, oh no, forget this. And then, you're not able to be consistent basically in your own business.
Now that you remind me the 90-10 rule, and we also have a saying on that, and you heard this before, which is what we learn in pre-licensing school, right? In pre-licensing school, they teach us, people do business with you because they know you, like you, and trust you. And that is true. But I say even more important, because you constantly remind them of what you do. How many of us have lost a buyer or seller to the competition because you just forgot to follow up? You just talk to them. So listen, I'm just buying a house. I'm just selling my house. What about me? I forgot you were a real estate agent. All right. So very important to have the systems. And as Abel said, the funnels, right? And that's why we also promote so much the real estate black box, because once you put those buyers in your bucket and the sellers in the other bucket, then the system will do the work for you. All you have to do is verify who is actually engaging so you can contact those people, right? Very, very important. Right now, in terms of social media, because I know you mentioned social media, I know it's a very big part of your business. What's working for you right now in terms of social media?
So for us, social media is about branding. And that's why I was telling you that part of what we do is we focus on 2 things every day. How many calls are we making? And how many posts or stories are we doing? Because we're working on our today business and our tomorrow business. To us, social media is our tomorrow business. Because when we're talking to someone today and they see who we are, because we show that we are who we say we are, then that person is going to come tomorrow, and it's going to be an unconscious, oh, I need to buy or sell. I know that he's awesome, but because we're focusing on showing people what we do. And here's another thing that everyone needs to be conscious about, which is, the times that we're going through, you need to be sensitive. Right now, a lot of people are losing their jobs. So you can't go and promote, look at all these closings, look at how much money I'm making, because that's basically the result of you saying, look at all these sales. Focus on talking about how many people you're helping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many families are you helping?
Right.
Not necessarily like, oh, look at my closings. Yeah, it's important to have social proof and show your successful sales, but it's more important to show the result of the people, because again, we're going through unprecedented times. You have to be sensitive to the situation.
Very, very important point that you just made. At the same time, you got to be present, right? So it's changing the content depending on the times. It is key that you change that content depending on the message you want to create in your social media, in your YouTube channel. And you're now doing a lot of YouTube. Just started recently to increase the frequency and consistency. And by the way, let me tell you, the quality of your videos.
Yeah.
They're very good. Now, understand this, that what Abel is saying about social media, whether we call it Facebook, Instagram, and I would add YouTube, all right, it's just paving the way. 92 out of 10 buyers and sellers will research you before they actually engage with you. So having all those platforms doesn't mean that you're going to close the sale right now, but it's going to make it much easier. When you have a YouTube channel with enough content and valuable information, and then they go into Instagram, and then they go into Facebook, and then they go into email marketing, and then they go and see the postcard you have, and they see an article of you, all right? Now it's much easier for you, for the system is doing the sale for you. One thing you learned in coaching with us a long time, Abel, is that it's much easier for people to do business with you when they reach out to you than reach out to them.
Thanks to our branding, I literally get calls and or messages saying, I'm ready to give you my listing. Like, it's basically just, okay, I'm going to call you so that we can go through the listing agreement. That's it.
They're sold. They're sold. Got it? So understand that you need those systems, and again, one more time, and this is not the only system. There are many good systems, but we need to implement them so it makes the transition way smoother. All right? We are not perceived as realtors or real estate agents, but we are perceived as experts in the field. You want to be the number one, or at minimum the number two in their mind. If not, they will forget about you. They won't remember you. So all those mediums, what are they doing? Like Abel said, it's not today business, but they're paving the way for you. And when they research you, then you have credibility. That's the key to this business. But people say about Zillow, about Facebook, about Postcard, oh no, those leads are cold. No. The leads are not cold. We are cold to the leads. Would you share your financial information, your goals, so much you have in the bank with somebody on the phone you never hear about before? Of course not. Now, why do they share it with Abel? Because he has all these sources, all these platforms that people have seen it before, that they perceive him as an expert. Abel, to close it today, 2 key pieces of advice for a brand new agent. What would you say to a brand new agent?
So I would tell a brand new agent to surround themselves by, a team or another agent that has a proven track record, but more than that, who does what they say they're going to do. Mm-hmm. Because all of this is great, all systems, we're converting leads, but it wasn't an overnight accomplishment. Mm-hmm. It was the result of, first of all, starting to work within yourself. That's why I'm a strong believer of coaching. Mm-hmm. I have 4 coaches right now in my life. I'm a financial coach, sales coach, nutrition coach, and a business coach. Mm-hmm. You were my coach for many, many years.
Yep.
So, it's important to surround yourself. Like, if you're an independent agent, like, basically, if you want to do things on your own and create your own team and be, in a company that's going to give you a higher, commission split, then make sure you surround yourself by a coach, because that person is going to give you a higher probability of achieving your goals. If you just depend on, learning your lessons based on your own experience, then it's going to take you a very long time to reach the level that you want to reach. Mm-hmm. Now, for someone who is entering the business and, it's basically, going from one industry to another, you obviously need to produce as soon as possible. So what you need to make sure that you surround yourself by a team that's going to provide you with all the tools so that you can start doing business right away.
That's it. There you go. What about, I'm going to answer some questions and then I'm going to do the experienced ones. I said, Carlos is asking right here, what platforms do you use? And also if you can share how much you invest in Zillow and what's your return on investment.
So as far as platforms, I use different platforms. I use, as a CRM, I use Follow Up Boss. That's how we organize all of our leads. Within Follow Up Boss, I've created different action plans and strategies to make sure that my leads go from one stage to another seamlessly, so that if you change the stage on one person here, it goes to another stage. When it comes to document signing, we use Dotloop. We also do a lot of virtual tours for our listings. We have a proprietary system for that. I love tracking, so I use other platforms to track all our numbers. In my opinion, having dashboards is the key to clarity. My process every morning is I wake up, I open my computer, and I have my multiple dashboards that I see, not just lagging indicators like how many pending units, how many closed units, but also how many calls were made, how many conversations, how many appointments, because that is it's a leading indicator that allows me to predict what's going to happen. If I see that, oh my God, I don't have a lot of appointments happening this week, then I know where to focus with the team, where we focus on doing the appointments.
So very simple, guys. And as you see, Abel and most agents not only have different platforms, but multiple websites. At the end of the day, the key is not in the platform. Most platforms out there are very, very, very more than enough, more than most real estate agents are going to use. The key here is to make sure that you develop your marketing and sales skills. Marketing is lead generation. Sales skills is lead conversion. Marketing is everything you do out there online and offline to generate the lead. That is easy. That happens overnight and it's not expensive. And most of you know it. Now, the key here is lead conversion, which doesn't happen overnight. Selling is not a process. Selling is a process, it's not an event. So understanding and developing the skills to pre-qualify, follow up, present, handle objections, and close. Once you've learned to develop the ability to generate those leads, all right? And Michael says, all businesses, it comes down to 2 to 3 KPIs that run the business: lead generation, lead conversion, all right? And within those, it's how many calls, how many contacts, how many appointments, and then how many listings in real estate and how many closings. It's that simple. Go ahead.
I learned with my experience, Orlando, that complexity is the enemy of execution. And that's why my focus is to keep it simple, but simple on the things that, like I said, give me an indication of what's going to happen. And it starts with something as little as a phone call. So the way that my systems work is my agents, they don't have to manually say, oh, I made a call. It automatically gets logged in.
Right.
Because if you need to depend on, like manual entry, then you're not going to have consistent numbers. Right. So like the way that our systems work is that every phone call, every text, every email happens through our system, so that by the end of the day, I look at our leaderboard and I see, oh, they've already made all these calls. They've already had all these conversations. Then I look at my dashboard and I see that we are on track to getting, the units, the families that we want to help, basically.
Exactly. So one more thing important. I'll talk about simplicity, right? And something we want to have worked many times is on those 3 things: clarity, simplicity, right? To focus on the very, very, very few things that matter in a business. Leonardo da Vinci said, the highest call of sophistication, all right, is simplicity. Simplicity is the highest call of sophistication. It's simplifying your business, all right? You can grow your business if you have a lot of complexity around. So you need to ask yourself, if you truly want to grow, the following 3 questions. How can I eliminate? If I can eliminate it, how can I automate it with systems, or can I delegate it with teams? All right. so you can focus on the very, very, very few things that matter in your business. And at the end of the day, like I think it was Michael was saying, it comes down to 2 to 3 things. Actually, in coaching, 3 things: specialized knowledge, all right, then marketing, lead generation, and then sales conversations. You don't want to do the marketing before you have the specialized knowledge, because all you're doing, the marketing is doing, is telling more people you don't know what you're talking about. And then sales conversations comes through marketing. But any final piece of advice before we go? Any piece, and then before, how can
wrap up?
Go ahead.
To wrap up what you were just saying, avoiding complexity is definitely easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
We're humans,
right?
So we have the nature of making things more difficult than what they should be. That's just our nature,
right?
So what I realized was, because I'm like, I'm not making things more simple, but then I focused on, instead of focusing on perfection, focus on progress. So, and that's why I say that this is an ever evolving process, because I'm not satisfied where I am,
right,
but I'm way better than when I was last year. So I'm making progress. So, it's very easy for us to, feel unhappy about, where you are or where you want to be, because you're not there. So don't focus on perfection, focus on making progress, because if you make progress, you will reach the goal. And what's going to happen is that when you reach the goal, you already have a higher goal. So that's why the goal should be progress.
So by that's the key. Perfection is the enemy of progress, right? And I, for most people that I met and that I've coached through the years, and my team has coached through the year, what we realize, and when people say, is the thing is, I'm a perfectionist, is that they're afraid to make a mistake and then they don't move forward. So perfection equals paralysis. There are 2 questions about Zillow. Jerome says, in brief, how did you arrive on the Zillow stage, right? Can you share with us how you arrived at the Zillow, how you went from paying for the first $1,000 on Zillow to, Zillow taking you to their headquarters and talking about your experience?
That's a great question. So I got a call, from someone at Zillow, and basically they told me that they wanted to understand how I was able to manage to attract such talented agents.
Okay.
And they wanted me to talk to them about that.
Okay.
Because the conversation was with all the Zillow employees. So they wanted to understand, like, how were we as One Path Realty able to attract so many talented agents? How are we able to convert, the leads that we're converting? And how should they communicate with real estate agents?
Okay.
Based on my opinion.
Okay.
And, everything I do, Orlando, whenever I am invited to a conversation, or even if I speak to an agent, in any scenario, my goal is to be able to help them learn something, bring some type of value. Like, I don't focus on myself. I feel like we should always focus on what is the problem of our audience. As a team leader, my audience are agents. So that's what I'm helping, because by me helping the agent, they help their audience, which are buyers and sellers.
Right.
So going back to the question, so they really wanted to understand how it was.
You're the only one in the team using Zillow. You have your agents using Zillow. Yeah.
Right. So the way that my brokerage works is we have a team model. So like I said, we have a total of 55 agents. In One Path, we have 6 teams. So we are 6 teams, and then within each team, there are team agents. And then I'm also helping other independent agents. I'm helping them develop into being team leaders. So what Zillow wanted to understand is, how was I able to put all of these top producing agents under one roof, under this independent brokerage that hasn't even been, in existence for more than a year, because this was a few months ago. So, and like I was telling you at the beginning, it's been a matter of osmosis. It's been a matter of doing what I said I was going to do. It's a matter of consistency, of caring. As a team leader, as a broker, like I said, you need to put the best interest of your agents first, because they are the ones that are going to create the results of helping the families, of helping them buy home or sell a home. Because if you're not helping them be the best that they can be, then you don't have a scalable business. So, one thing I learned is that I needed to become scalable and sustainable. I don't want to just grow and then fall. I want to grow, sustain it, grow, sustain. So that was basically, the reason for the invitation. What was the other question?
No, Abel, if agents want to contact you, if they want to know a little bit more about your team, how can they reach out to you?
Very simple. I'm sure everybody uses Instagram. I think Instagram is Miami Real Estate Agents' #1 source of communication.
Okay.
So just type in Abel Gilbert Group.
Okay.
In Instagram, and just send me a message.
Abel,
follow up.
Abel Gilbert
Group.
Gilbert Group on Instagram, right?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna put it here.
I think it's Abel Gilbert on Facebook. So I don't really do, my own posts. We have a marketing team, which is part of the value proposition as well for our team agents. We have an in-house marketing department.
Okay.
So we focus on the development of team agents and also the development of independent agents that want to go from being a one-man show to learning on how to become an operation, to go from operator to owner, because that's everybody's goal. Everybody's goal is, how do I go on vacation and make sure that my business keeps running, instead of I go on vacation and everything stops. So you're stressed out throughout your whole vacation.
I hear the other day from a good friend, he said, when was the last time you went to a real estate agent retirement party? I said, that's a good one. All right. So, Abel, it's been an honor, man, a pleasure. It was always fun to be communicating this way. Unfortunately, we can't do it live because of the current situation in the country. We met in our offices in February, right before this happened. It's always nice talking to you, see you grow your business, man. The way I follow you, of course, in social media, and see the culture you have with your team. I see you going to restaurants. I see you taking pictures with your team. I see you. What is it?
We used to go to restaurants.
Well, yeah, no, you are used to it. It's just, this is a temporary thing. And by the way, we're already getting out of this one. So it is a pleasure to have you in the show. Hopefully, this is one of the first ones of many to come.
Thank you.
So again, I just put your information here for anybody who wants to contact him. I also put our YouTube channel or our Instagram, so you don't miss any other top real estate agent interview. All right. So as always, the way I close it with the real estate black box, make sure, guys, if you want a system that allows you to generate more leads, convert more leads, and have the content on automation, click in the link below, real estate black box, and you'll find out exactly what we're talking about. Liliana, thank you. Chris, thank you. Veronica is right here. Thank you, Jerome, Maria. I mean, we have so many people right here in the line today that it will be almost impossible to say thank you to all of you. Abel, one more time, a pleasure, man. Thank you for being in the Miami Real Estate.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure being here.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.